Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to give our recap of NOAHcon 2026. So it's been about a week since we've come back home, but you know, life happens when you come back home. So it's taken us a minute to get to this point of actually filming this, but we went to Columbus, Ohio for the conference, and I gave you a bit of a recap in the last video, and I think we probably talked about some of the sessions that were going to be available. I don't remember specifically what all we talked about, but the nice thing about these conferences is they have a pretty good variety of sessions that can meet a variety of needs. So there's things like, there was one for parents and grandparents and caregivers about comments that people get. There was Ask the Doctors were those the same session?
So, no.
Those were two different, okay.
Those are two different. The questions and comments, that was more for just like when you're out and about and people make comments or they're staring at you or whatever, or family, you know, their encounters there that can be tricky to navigate. But Ask the Doctors, though, there was one like with a panel of doctors. There was one for PWAs and one for non-PWAs. So obviously I went to the one that was not for people with albinism.
I didn't go to the one for the people with albinism because I don't remember what time that was, but I think I was doing something else.
I think so.
So usually during a chunk of time, there's like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 sessions going on. So there's a variety to pick from. They had some that were a little bit more, I don't know what you want to call them. There's like a Lego build one, a journaling one, mix fit, like a little bit more just, there was a canvas paint.
Like activities.
Activities, yeah.
Versus a learning session.
Right.
So the Ask the Doctors or the latest research, those were very educational kinds of things. Some were more for like support groups, which I feel like was kind of like the questions and comments for parents, grandparents, etc. That was kind of like a more of a let's connect and share stories, but here's also some guidelines and ways to navigate that kind of thing. So it's kind of in between the activity and education almost.
Yeah, and then they had some that were a little bit like, if there's things you're interested in, like for instance, bioptic driving, O&M, which is orientation and mobility training. They had something about learning Braille, like beginning steps learning Braille. So things that are a little bit like educational, but maybe a little bit more interest type educational, or like something you know you might be getting into in the future, like the bioptic driving. It was a good one for people who are like, we have older teens or younger teens that are about to get to the driving age and maybe they'll be able to, so let's find out some information. Preliminary learning, I guess you could call that. And so that was pretty cool. They had a couple off-site activities that you could sign up for, and they had a couple things that were available before the session, before the conference, pre-conference sessions. There was kayaking, and I think there was a mother's workshop. The German village. I don't remember what the other one was. I think it might have been a bioptic driving one.
I think that's when that was, yeah.
Yeah. So those were beforehand, and they do cost a little bit of extra money, but a lot of times it's just like the transportation, and then if that activity is going to cost a little bit of money, like, and so.
But it was worth it.
Yeah.
The ones that we did.
Yeah, we did the kayaking in the German village. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then during the conference, there was, in the evenings, they called it happy hour, but there was like 4 different restaurants that people could go to. And some were bars, but some were not necessarily bars. So you had a variety of options to pick from there. So that's kind of, we didn't actually end up doing either of those, but that's okay. We ended up having dinner with other people, and things around the hotel and stuff. I'm trying to think if there was, I think there was some activities on Saturday. There was like a water park one you could sign up for or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So they try to have things that are like fun for the adults, fun for families, fun for the teenagers. They try to have a variety of things available. And like we said before, there's a kids conference that takes place at the same time as the main conference. I don't really know much about it because I'm not involved in it at all. So, but it looks like they have a lot of fun because they always come back to the hotel seeming very excited and like, because they usually do outings and things with them. Mm-hmm. So the kids have a blast doing that. So, and they pretty much cover most age ranges, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it's all the way up to the teens.
Yeah.
To 18.
And all the way down to like very young. Like, I don't know what the youngest is, but
I think they do.
It must be all the way down.
I think so. I think they even do like a 0 to 2 age range.
Because during the day, I don't see any little kids.
Mm-mm.
Like, so, because, you know, it's a little bit more like daycare with the little guys, but they you know, they do nap times and they do, you know, all this kind of stuff. So, like, it works out really well. And it gives the parents a chance to focus on connecting with other adults with albinism or other adults that have children with albinism and stuff like that.
And be able to do that without little ones in tow and knowing that they're taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's good. Yeah.
And they do a thing in the evenings where they have like a room opened up for the teens where they can just go and hang out like as teenagers, you know, and stuff. I actually thought it was kind of cool because one of the afternoons we were kind of hanging out. It was actually Sunday afternoon, I believe. We were kind of hanging out and there was this teenager that was like, oh, hey, can I play? Because we were playing Uno. And he came and was like, oh, can I play Uno with you guys for a little bit? And we're like, yeah, sure. And he's like, I want to say he was probably like 16, 15, 16, something, you know? But he was kind of excited because his dad had let him go out in the hotel by himself. And he's like, I just have to be back by 1 o'clock, you know? And so he was being very responsible and checking the time and stuff. But he just seemed so, like, proud of himself that he was able to, like, he was being given that chance to, like, be out and about by himself, you know? Yeah. And as a person with a visual impairment, that's probably a little scary for parents to be like, yeah, sure, go off on your own and don't get lost. Like, but by that point, you've been in the hotel for a few days at the minimum. So even the kids kind of know what they're doing, where they're going. They're pretty oriented. And so the parents can start to feel comfortable to let their older teens be like, you know, sure, just come back at this time, you know. And he just seemed so like he was just really enjoying that bit of freedom he was getting. And I was like, that's fun. So I am trying to think of specific sessions that we did. I did the canvas paint one, which was really cool. It was actually painting onto a bag, so that was a much easier thing to take home. But it was kind of fun because I've done that, if you want to say, we like to say out in the wild. So you don't say, have you seen another person with albinism out in the wild? You know, I've done one of those canvas paint things in a non-adaptive setting. And like, it was okay, you know, as usual. I find a way to still get things done, but this time it was really fun because they had volunteers in there that had pictures of the different steps, and they were walking around up and down the tables to make sure everybody could get a close-up of this is the step you're on. I mean, I think they actually went up and like just took a picture of the thing because the girl that was painting it was painting it as we were doing it. So she would explain it from the front of the room, and then she and the other people would walk around showing a close-up. So that was really fun. And I was like, this is cool because I intentionally, this is funny to me, when we go to these type of conferences, I intentionally like to sit not in the front because you spend your whole life always having to sit in the front because maybe you'll be able to see something. Here, you're like, I'm going to sit in the back row because I can. There was another one we did that was Albinism Mythbusters, which they have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, and so they were talking about some of the different myths and misconceptions, and that was kind of fun because then, you know, people in the room are sharing stories, and you know, like, oh yeah, when people think blah blah blah, you know, we're all just dying laughing at the crazy things that people sometimes say and think, and stuff. So that one was kind of fun. They have vendors there, if you want to call them vendors. I guess you could call them vendors. But they have booths set up where people who have different types of assistive technology or something community-based that's like an assistive something.
Sometimes educational things.
Right. Guide dogs usually has a table there. So advocacy or education or resources, those type of things, they'll have tables and you can go and check their tables out and stuff like that. It was actually really cool because there was a table there that had this pair of glasses, and it's like, I'm like, I've been saying that these glasses are exactly the kind of thing, like, I've said this before, it's like, I just need a pair of glasses that can just, like, I can just zoom in and just see something, like, just be a camera and just zoom in. And that's basically what these glasses are. They're $5,000, so that's a cool idea. I'm hoping eventually they will get cheaper as technology advances. But it's exciting, though, to see technology getting that direction, because that does seem like exactly the kind of thing, like with a more refined thing, that would just be so beneficial. I was getting such a kick out of it, though, because I was like, I think the lady that was at the table, I think she was helping me do the glasses, and I think she was getting a bit of a kick out of how excited I was getting about random things, because I was like, wow, I can read what's on that table all the way down the end of the hallway. And then I'm like, man, I can actually recognize people if I had these glasses on. And I was like, oh yeah, look, there's Dale. You know, it's like, and she was kind of chuckling, and I'm like, but that's the thing, like, I would never recognize somebody that far away. So that one of the things we talked about in the previous video going into this conference was the fact that I went into this conference knowing a lot of people and you did not. And so that was part of the reason why we went early, was because I already knew some of my friends were coming early, and I was like, oh, we'll get to hang out, we'll just get to like have some chill time with people, and which was great. That was so much fun to be able to do. Explored the hotel together, we played Uno, we just had a good time. And but you didn't know the people I knew. Now, right. You have been officially put into the group, so you know. But talk about your experience with that.
So we had met some people last conference, and I was looking forward to seeing them again. Hoping they were there. Some of them were there, some of them weren't there. So it was nice to reconnect with those folks, but also just getting to know the people that Jai's already gotten to know, and just making friends with them and making new friends. We actually met a family that lives not very far from us, so we're hoping to get together. So that was fun to hang out with people, and I feel like it was, I was a lot more comfortable this time making friends because I'd already met some people and I kind of knew a little bit more what I was going into. So I was a lot more comfortable. And then when you would go and do the video for a couple of sessions, I ended up sitting with some of the folks that we had met. So yeah, I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
I think that the connections, the online Zoom thing, was a really good way to stay in touch with people. Unfortunately, that's only for people with albinism. I don't think they have anything that is not. But it's pretty fun because the main group of us that kind of hung out, there was usually most of the time, only 2 people that did not have albinism. And so,
out of 6 or 8.
Right. And so it was kind of funny because we call them the pigmentos. And so it just is very comical to but it's fun because it's people that if you just saw them walking down the street, would you have connected with them, outside of albinism? It's like if we had been in some sort of work together or went to the same something, if we had some kind of something in common, sure, we might have become friends. But it's such a random group of people that live in other parts of the country. So what are the chances you ever would have met them? But you have this thing in common, and it's I don't know. It's kind of been fun to like get to know people of different walks of life, I guess you could say, and different ages and different whatever, and that you probably wouldn't have normally met. And it's like just because this one thing you have in common has been the bridge. And so I think that's what's so fun, because everyone there kind of has this like, oh, we just want to get to know each other and we just want to meet people. And so it's like, I don't know, it seems like everyone's kind of on the same page about that. So like you go and hang out with a group of people and there'll be people you've never met sitting at the table and you're like, oh, great, awesome. You know, by the end you have each other's cell phone number and you're,
right.
I think another thing that was really cool is I actually got to meet a few people who watch some of these videos, and I'm really happy to know that people are able to, you know, one of the main reasons I wanted to start doing videos is because I want to try to take the things that I spent years trying to figure out about myself and try to help other people who maybe haven't figured those things out, or like is the case sometimes that I've met this last week was people with children and they really don't know what to expect. I think I met a dad that had a 2-year-old, you know, and it's like, you don't know what to expect. And so I'm hoping that, again, the idea that this channel can help other people to know a little bit more about either their child or their friend or their spouse or their whoever in their life or their own self. Because that is a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
But that being said, if there are particular subjects that you want or have questions about or want to hear my perspective on, leave them down in the comments and I can, you know, put some videos out talking about whatever subject matters, or if there's things I've talked about but I haven't gone into as much detail maybe and you want to know more, like, you know, whatever, you know. Looking into 2 years from now when we have the next conference, again, like I said, I definitely recommend going to the conference, whether you are a person with albinism, whether you have a child or whoever it might be. It's one of those experiences that I don't know that can be really fully explained until you experience it, particularly if you do not have other people in your life that have albinism. And it's kind of fun because 2 years ago I was a first-time person and I was having my like, ooh, there's a lot of us in this room, like what's happening? I had those moments, and this year I saw other people having those moments and they're like, oh, it's so weird to see so many of us in one space. And I'm like, isn't it? Because it is kind of fun, because you're not the one that sticks out in the crowd. You are the crowd. Like, for once in your life, you are the crowd. So it's kind of funny. I don't think you struggled to find me this time, did you?
I had a couple of moments maybe where it took me a little bit longer than usual. But it still wasn't anything terrible.
I mean, generally speaking,
it was probably, I think the one time you were just not in my line of vision.
Right.
Or somebody was between us and so I couldn't see you because I was like, oh, there she is.
Yeah. It is kind of funny because, you know, obviously I have my ways of seeing you from a distance. You know, I can usually see you because I can tell, like, you know, like generally the color of your clothes or the shape of your clothes. Like if you're wearing a skirt, I can see like the triangle, you know, like it sounds kind of weird when you say it out of context, but that's just the way that it is. But then it is kind of funny because once we're inside of like a room that's like our main group, it's like I can look for the brown hair, you know, and
right.
narrow it down pretty quickly. I mean, you're not the only person there that doesn't have albinism, but there's not as many. So it's
probably what, 2/3, 1/3, or maybe 3/4, 1/4 kind of a ratio.
Yeah, something like that. So it's quite interesting.
I don't remember if I mentioned this last conference. There were actually more people without albinism than I was anticipating, but that's because of spouses and families being there. So
yeah,
that was different.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a really great opportunity to try to take part of, and I know that sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, but there are, if you go on their website, albinism.org, and you go to events, I believe it's events, and then virtual events, there are some Zoom session connection groups that if you're a person with albinism, you can connect on some of those and kind of get to know a few people beforehand, or even just have some of that, like, wow, there's some more people with albinism, and just interact with them. I don't really know if there's any Zoom things for people that don't have albinism. I'm not sure. There might be some in the realm of like parenting type things. There might be. I don't know, because I don't pay that much attention to all the other ones. I just do the ones I do. Because there's like a book club one, and so it's not just like chit-chatting. There's a couple that are like specific to a thing. But that's something to kind of check out, and you know, if you want to try to connect with some people. But I also do recommend like come a day early, and it's like a kind of a ease yourself into it, because you start to gradually see more people, and you can start meeting people. It's kind of unfortunate because you don't have your badge yet, and the badge has a ribbon on it if it's your first time, and that can help, because when you see somebody with a first time badge, you can, you know, go up and talk to them or whatever. You know, people will try to really help make you feel comfortable, because they know it's your first time. You might be a little bit like unsure of what's going on and what to do. So that's just kind of our experience going to this year's conference. So if there's anything specific that maybe you're like, you know, I've seen this thing about the conference, or questions about the conference. I mean, like I said, we didn't really do anything with the kids conference, so there's not really much we can answer about that. But if there's anything that you want us to talk more about, or have questions, or whatever the case may be, put them down in the comments and try to answer those questions. And hope to see you at NOAHcon 2028 in Baltimore, Maryland.